What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. We're going to be picking up kind of the different pieces that were left off in the Christmas video. Hopefully you guys saw it, and hopefully you guys had a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hopefully y'all had a good New Year as well. And we're back with more videos and more things to do, and I even got some new stuff that's going to be coming. It's going to be great. It ought to be a good year. So we're going to start off with this Christmas special here, or dissecting this Christmas special, I guess. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking in this first video, which is going to be a video of a few different ones. But in this first one, we're going to be looking at, as the title suggests, how to do custom buttons with the Webiopi, as well as some CGI scripting. And if you don't know what that is, well, grab something to drink, sit back, relax. We're going to go through it. So here we go. All right. First thing I like to do, if I'm going to create my own custom buttons, I'm not a big CSS fan. I just, when I learned web development, I mean, HTML, HTML, 4 was brand new. And, things like that, or at least I believe it. Yeah, it was just brand new, and like we were still using things like Dreamweaver and things like that. So it's fairly old. And like I think the version of Flash was like the new thing when I was learning it. Flash 5. Wow, So anyway, so it's been a while since I've actually gotten into the web creation, web publishing, and things like that. So you'll have to forgive my ignorance in that field. But in any case, at least with the modern day stuff. But anyway, in any case, we're going to look at just a very simple, straightforward way of doing it. I'm going to assume that you already know how to do that. If you don't, go on the internet, especially right here at YouTube, check out other videos. They will tell you exactly how to build basically what I've built. So far as cosmetically, so far as putting the pictures in, getting tables and things right, and colors and all that stuff. Check out the different videos because there's great tutorials. And one of my favorite web authoring programs is Komposer. I'll put a link in the description so you can go check it out, but it's totally open source, totally free. It's for both Linux and Windows, and I don't know. I don't remember if they have a Macintosh version or not, but they might. I bet they do have a Mac port for this. But it's my favorite web authoring just because, for one thing, it's free. And free is good, right? As well as, other things. It has some pretty cool little controls, a very simplistic way of using it. The learning curve is not very steep whatsoever to learn how to use this thing. And the thing that I like about it, of course, with other web authoring programs, you get this, but you can get the HTML tags view, and you can get the actual HTML source code view. And it also has indenting as well as the code coloring, and highlighting. So that's actually pretty cool. So if we come back to this here, so what we're going to look at is that I've got this kind of a layout set up. What I did was just created a folder. As you saw in my video, I created a folder on the Raspberry Pi called www, which was inside the Webiopi folder that I created on in the Pi home directory on the Raspberry Pi, and we'll see that. I'll go over that again with you. But basically, inside there, I created an index.html. as well as an images folder, which I then put the little Christmas trees image in there, as well as the off button, which is the default one, as well as the on version of that button. And so I think I can open it. Yeah, there's the on version. Of course, I'm going to undo that. Undo. But that's the on version of it, which has a little red deal to let you know it's on. So that's basically all I did, and I just set this up, built this in Komposer right here on my Windows box, and then I just using WinSCP. I don't know if you guys use that, but that's my favorite one, the WinSCP. I just WinSCP'd it over. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, just in case you don't know, WinSCP is free to download. I can put a link in the description. I guess I can do that. But what I'll do is that I've already set it up, but you put your IP address. SFTP works just fine. Port 22 because you're going to use SSH. or basically SSL to connect it. So anyway, and for me, I just got to double click on it. It'll connect to my Raspberry Pi, ask me for the password. Whoops. So we'll type in that good old password, and then you basically just get this kind of two-screen looking thing. Usually the device you've connected to is on the right, and then usually a default folder or something will be on the left for you. And all you literally do is take your index and just drag it over. That's all you got to do is just drag it and drop it, and it'll copy it straight to the Pi. And you're ready to go. So, and as you can see, home Pi, Webiopi, and in the www folder, that's all you got to do. And so you create it over here on your Windows box, let's say, navigate to where it's at, and just click and drag it over. Same with the images folder. You just take and click and drag it over. That's all you got to do. And WinSCP will do a secure copy, and it'll basically, that's why it's called WinSCP, is it's secure copy, and it'll copy it over. So real simple. Yes, that's fine. So once we get this built, we'll just copy it right over to the Pi, and then we're ready to go. So now we have to code it. So here we are on our good old Pi, and so we're going to take a peek at the code. So I'm going to CD to that Webiopi folder that I have, and I had people kind of complain to me that they don't know, I didn't show them how to create the directory structure that I have. Well, it's real simple. You're just going to do an mkdir for make directory webiopi, and that's all you literally have to do. And just hit enter, and it'll create that folder. And so, and then of course you cd into the folder you just went into, and you would perform mkdir www, and that would create the www directory. So making directories isn't real hard, and also you can always Google it. Google that. Linux. That's the greatest thing about Linux is very much supported everywhere. Essentially, if it can be done, somebody's already done it out there on the web. So go Google what you're after, because I guarantee somebody's probably done it, or at least tried to do it. So now we're going to go to that folder, and inside there's our index.html. So what we're going to do is we're going to VI or Vim or Nano or whatever. I like VI improved myself. That's just, I did, if you see my other earlier videos, I did really like Nano, but there are a lot of limitations with Nano, and I just finally broke in and decided, fine, I'll use VI, because it really truly is faster if you do a lot of coding. VI really, if you do a lot of coding in Linux and do a lot of development in Linux, VI is a lot quicker. So let's VI that index file. Okay, so of course we got a bunch of garble up at the beginning, but there's something that you need to do up here, and that is you need to find the images. Okay, which down in here, you are going to see, here we go. Okay. So here's one of our images, img style width, and this is our first off image. Okay. So what we're going to do is we need to attach basically an event handler with this image's off PNG. So all you have to do is just come inside here, and we're going to change, and we're going to add the ID. See, before I did this, I'm actually showing you the edited version of this index file. Before I did this, the end, the end deal was actually way back over here. It was actually ended right after the images deal. So what we are adding is we're going to add this ID equals btn1. You'll see why that's important. This is a way of being able to programmatically distinguish between the different buttons that you have, because otherwise they're just pictures on the page, and the picture name is the same for all of them. So you need some sort of a unique identifier to be able to programmatically check them and switch them around, because we're going to want to switch images from off to on, and then back from on to off as people press the button on the page, right? So we give it an ID of btn1, and then here's the magic part. This is how you get the JavaScript to work. And by the way, this is going to be coded in JavaScript. And so we've got our on-click event, essentially. And so what we're going to do is we're going to call a function here. And the function, I've just chosen to name my function click handler. And then we're going to pass it this. This is basically the instance information, I guess you could call it. that we're going to pass to this. So basically, I can talk. Well, you'll see down below. I can grab the variable this, and I can get the URL of the image. I can get the image source. I can get a bunch of different attributes of the image by passing the this, basically environment variable, down to the click handler function that I've made. So that's what we have. And on click obviously means that if you mouse over and click on this image, it will execute this function right here. So that's basically what you have to do for all three images. In my case, I have 3 images. So as you can see, the next one, move my cursor down, I named it BTN2, and again calling the click handler. And then for number 3, I do BTN3 and on click handler. So real simple. Then what I do is I go ahead, excuse me, I'm trying to keep my voice from being all crackly. It's gotten late and I've done a lot of other videos, so my voice is getting kind of crackly. So if you hear me pause, I'm taking a drink of water so it doesn't get all rough and nasty. So okay, so we're gonna go ahead and scroll on down, and I do this after the table body, or the T body, the table body, and the table close commands, and I just go ahead and I put a script heading in there, and I start my script stuff. So now what we're going to start with is the Webiopi ready function, and that's, we're going to basically set up tri-state variables and all that stuff. So we're going to set up pins 7, 8, 25, 11, 9, and 10. And now if you saw the beginning video on my Christmas video, which I encourage you to, you'll see all the hardware arrangement for that, how that was all wired up. And basically what I'm doing is I'm using one pin to actually actuate the relays and things like that, and then I'm also grabbing that pin and feeding it back through a different pin, so that way I can read the status of that pin. That way I've got some feedback. That way I know when I told it to turn on, did it actually turn on? So that's being fed back through a different pin. And like I said, if you watch that Christmas video, in the very beginning I show you about how the hardware is all hooked up. So that's why there's so many pins going on here. There's actually 2 for every one. So there's 6 pins involved in all this. So we're setting 7, 8, and 25 as output pins, because those are the output pins, and then 11, 9, and 10 are actually tied to 7, 8, and 25, but they're reading 7, 8, and 25, so that way they can see whether they actually really did turn on or turn off. Next one is we're going to turn the Webiopi refresh GPIO to true. That way it'll refresh the inputs and whatnot, so we can read it. And then what we're going to do is this onload function. What this does is we're going to run a get status function. So basically the onload, when you do a window.onload, that means when you navigate to this index.html page and this page loads, it's going to run a function, and the function that we're going to run is getStat, which I'll go into the definition. As you can see, it's down here. We'll go through the definition of what that does. That's basically going to get the current status of all the pins. It's going to read those 11, 9, and 10 pins and figure out whether it needs to put the on or off image on the web page as it loads. So then and we're going to also set an interval for when it does that, when it reads that. And the interval, basically, it's every so many, so many milliseconds. It'll basically run get stat. So we run it when we first load the web page, and then we run it every so often from then on out. That way, if there's any status changes or anything like that, you get an update. So I've got it set for 100 milliseconds. This second parameter is milliseconds. It's in milliseconds, not seconds. So I've got it every 100 milliseconds. It's basically refreshing. It's executing this get stat function, which will refresh everything. So let's get into how that works. So let me scroll down here so it's up where we can see it. So what I'm doing is I'm using the digital read, okay, and then what I'm doing is I'm doing a document.getElementById. Now this is where the unique identifiers for your images come in handy. I'm grabbing the btn1.source, which is the you know, where the image source is what that is, and I'm changing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically, when I check the if, I'm going to check to see if it's true. If it's on, then I'm going to make sure and display the on PNG. If I check and see that it's false, you know, it's off, you know, then we're going to display the off image. Okay, so pretty easy. We do that for all three pins, and now these will be the input pins, you know, so 10, 11, and 9, you know, are the input pins. And so that's basically all that does. Really, really simple. So now let's go down and get a little more complicated and check out the click handler. So now this guy is going to be the guy that's going to do all of the magic for us. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to skip button 1, because button 1 involves CGI scripts, which we'll talk about later in this video. Hopefully this video won't get too long, but I want to cover kind of all the web-based stuff, you know, right now. So I'm going to declare some variables, some state variables, some value variables, and we'll see how those all play later. So let's check out button 2. We'll skip button 1 for now since it involves CGI scripting. Button 2, what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the element ID, element.id is button 2, which how that works is, remember, click handler has an input parameter. I've called it element here, but remember we passed it the this parameter, basically, is what the this variable. Back up when we went, back up here. We're back up into here. Find that. Where is that at? I went all the way to the top. Okay, there we go. Like for, well, let's say button 2. So button 2. See, we passed it the this. That's how we get to it, is we can actually get element, which is the image, you know. And what I'm doing is I'm grabbing, I'm saying I want the elements. If the element ID is button 1, then we're going to do some stuff. If it's button 2, we're going to do other things. And if it's button 3, we'll do other things too. So that's where that unique identifier comes in handy, definitely. So here we go. So we're going to check to see if it's button 2. If it is, then what we're going to do is we're going to take and set the value equal to, we're going to set this value variable equal to webiopi.digitalRead, you know, 11. And yeah, I probably could have just done an if and then webiopi.digitalRead 11, but I don't know, I was playing around. I think it was remnants of when I was playing around with other things. I put it in a variable, but anyway, this way works fine. And the great thing about coding on a PC or even like a Raspberry Pi is it has quite substantial amount of memory, so you know, you can waste a little bit and be okay. So anyway, so we're going to check to see if the value is a 1. If it is on, basically, is what we're looking at. We're going to digital read it. If it's on, then we need to turn it off, because if you remember, this is a click event. So if you're tapping the button, you're going to want to do the opposite of where it's at currently. So we're going to read where it's at currently and then basically perform the opposite. So if it's on, we're going to write a 0 to pin 8, which is the corresponding pin, which basically should, you know, shut things off, you know. And then we're also going to change the image. And so for funny thing, you can't just say the image source is images/op. You need like the full web address, like the full web address. So in our case, since we're just running it locally, we're not doing any DNS or anything like that. It basically needs the http:// and then the IP address, you know, :8080 if that's what you're using, or 8000 if that's what the port you're using for your WebIOPI, and then / you know, images / and then the actual image name. So what I did to do that, and this seems to only work with Google Chrome, I think, and so there's other ways of doing this for the other web browsers. I just, you know, I want to keep this as simple as possible. So, you know, disclaimer, FYI, this only works with Google Chrome. But what I'm doing is I'm taking the state2 variable, and I'm basically concatenating the base URI, which is the base URL, you know, which is the, you know, like I said, the http://. In my case, it's 192.168.1.30:8000 / and then, it's going to be, I'm going to tack on images / off.png, and then that way it'll change the source, because then the very next line is we're going to take the element that we're at, which should be button 2, obviously, and the element that we're at, we're going to use the dot source class attribute, and we're going to set it equal to that concatenation of the base URL plus the new image file, and that should change the image as well. So 2 things is happening here. We're writing out a 0 or 1, depending, because I'm doing an else here, and if the value turns out to be 0, it's off, then we need to turn it on. So I'll write a 1. So we're writing a 0 or 1 to the pin, the corresponding pin, as well as changing the corresponding image, okay, based on the unique identifier of that image. So that's basically all it is to it. Real simple. Button 3 is exactly the same, just with different pin numbers, but the process is exactly the same. So that's how you basically do that. Now, button number 1 is a little unique. If you watch the Christmas video, basically it sends a Bluetooth signal, or basically it sends a bit over Bluetooth to the Intel Edison, and tells it to toggle one of its GPIO pins either on or off based on the current status of the pin. Well, I had a lot of headache trying to research this thing. Is how do because I can fire it off the Bluetooth, and that'll be another video, how you set up Bluetooth and talk over Bluetooth. But you can fire out, but basically the way that I was doing it is I was using the command line, CLI, command line interface, to send the data to the Intel Edison over Bluetooth. I basically wrote a shell script that would do it really easily. Now the problem is I need to be able to execute a command line command from JavaScript. Well, this is not real easy to do, but actually, or at least it seems to not be that easy to do. There's all kinds of things like jQuery and a whole bunch of other different things that can get real complicated. The thing I found that was the easiest, because the reason that this will work and will be fairly easy, is because you're running this on the host. If you're trying to execute a command line command on the client side, basically the person viewing the web page, if you're trying to execute something on their personal computer, well, then that's a whole big mess. That deals with permissions, and if they allow cookies or different control things, and what kind of permissions they have set up on the computer for web pages. And you may have to use ActiveX, which then ActiveX, I believe, only works for Internet Explorer and not, other things like Google and Firefox, and it just opens up a big can of worms if you're trying to do it on the viewer's PC or the client side. But since it's on the host side of things, we're wanting to just kick off something on the Raspberry Pi, which is also the web server host. Things get a little easier. We can use what's called CGI scripts, okay? Which all it is a shell script written using Bash or CSH or whatever you want to do, shell scripting environment, and you basically just dump it in a folder, and then you just call it. That's all you got to do, and is you just basically navigate to that folder is what you do. So that's essentially what this is doing. Right here, what it does is it checks, okay, our button number 1, okay, checks to see if it's button number 1. If it is, it's gonna read the status, which this is kind of a placebo effect, essentially. I wanted to go ahead, except it just got too late. I wanted to be able to actually read something from the Edison, like the Edison spit back something, us basically ping it and say, hey, what's your status? And it spit back what the status is, and let's read that in. I just didn't get that far with it, honestly. And you guys could take it from here. That's a good quandary. You guys could put that in. And if you need help with that, I'll definitely be available. But what this is doing is just reading and toggling just kind of basically a phantom pin on the Raspberry Pi is all it's doing. The pin goes nowhere because it's over Bluetooth, is how it actually does it. It's the Intel Edison that's actually toggling the physical relay that switches the lights on and off. This is just, like I said, kind of like a placebo effect. It's just so that I can get that feedback at the beginning, that get stat, and it can remember which way it is. I'm basically sending out the Bluetooth command and hoping that it's in the state that it's in. So anyway, and my way of saving the state was toggling a pin and then reading it back, like I did the others. So anyway, call me crazy, but you know, time is an issue, especially when you're as busy as I am. So I just kind of opted out. So if you guys need some help with making that actually work through over Bluetooth, I probably will go ahead and do other Bluetooth videos of how to read stuff back from a Bluetooth device, because right now we're just sending it out and that's all we're doing. So you'll probably see a Bluetooth video on reading stuff in, because I believe the next one that goes along with this whole setup will just be reading or sending stuff from one device to the other and not reading it back. So we'll probably do a subsequent video on that. Anyway, I digress. Okay, back to what we were doing. Okay, so we're gonna basically read and write this the corresponding pins for this, and then change the image, you know, correspondingly. But then the last thing that we do is one more step than the other two, and that's we're going to do this window.location.href, which basically what that is doing is that is going to hyperlink somewhere is what it's going to do. If you set this equal to a web address, which is what I've got basically right here, that's how you change web address. Like programmatically using JavaScript, you can send people to a different web page, is by using this window.location.href. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm sending them to, again, you would have to change this for your application. I think I said that in my Christmas video, because I'm using my IP address. Now you could probably use that base URI, and like I did up here, and concatenate the cgi-bin/bt deactivate.sh. You could probably do that like I did up here. Just replace this piece right here in quotes, replace that with cgi-bin bt deactivate.sh. You could probably do that, and it would probably work just fine. I just, like I said, I started getting tired and I got lazy, and I just did it the way that I knew it would work. So anyway, that's basically all you got to do, is just navigate there, and this bt deactivate.sh, that's the script. That's the script that runs. And that's all you have to do, and I'll show you where that script is. We won't go into how that script's built and everything, because it uses Bluetooth and everything. Well, actually, we will. Actually, now that I think about it, let's go into it, because it does reroute back. And because since I've sent them using this href, this actually just sends you to the page, and you're to the page, period. Now, of course, I want to come back. You know, I want to go back to the green page. You know, basically, here, let me just bring it up in Komposer, this page. If I click this button, you know, let's say I put this on preview. If I click this button, I want to, first of all, I want to fire off the CGI script. Well, and how it fires off the CGI script is it actually navigates to a different web page, is what it does. So you'd actually get a giant white web page is what you would get, and it would just sit there, because there's no tag in the CGI script. It just runs a command line command, and so you know, you don't see that come across the page. So you'll just basically get a white page. You'll just click on this button and you'll go straight to a white page, and that's it. So what you need to do is you need to code in your script a way of, after the script is done executing command, to execute a command to bring you back to this kind of like this index.html, you know, to bring you back to this page. So that way, you know, you're not just stuck, essentially. So I hope that makes sense. And so I'm going to show you where that's at. So where you go to put your shell script so that the CGI scripting will take place is, I'm going to back out of here, because that's pretty much it for this, is you're going to go to, let's see if I remember where it's at. It should be USR, no, live, slash CGI bin. Okay, good. Good, I remembered it. And if you look in here, I've got both of the shell scripts. And in my video, I told you have to make sure that they're, I just did 777 because, you know, I'm not real worried about no one else is using this Pi. I'm not real worried about someone hacking into this Pi. But if you want to, for more security, you don't use, I don't know, 555, or, well, yeah, 555 or 550 or something like that, you know, and add a little more security to it. But like I said, these are just basic videos, so you're just gonna see the basic thing. So the premise of activate and deactivate is pretty much the same. One sends the activate command, one sends the deactivate command. I mean, not real complicated. So let's go ahead and vi bt activate real quick. So all we're doing, and this is actually the Bluetooth command, we're just echoing a C for closed, and we're redirecting that and sending it to the RFCOM0 device, which I'll show you. Like I said, I'll show you how to set all that stuff up. In fact, you saw a little bit of the setup in the Christmas video of how to set up and communicate with Bluetooth, sort of. So we'll go over it all, though, in a separate video. But basically what you do is you basically create your own HTML page. So what I'm doing is I'm echoing content type as text HTML. I'm basically writing an HTML page using the echo command. I literally am doing that. So here's the HTML header and title. I'm doing Merry Christmas as the title, closing that all up. And then here is the command to return you back. I'm saying meta, HTTP equivalent, and then we're going with refresh content. And if you're wondering what these backslash quote and this backslash and the quote, well, remember when you're programming, if you use quotes, especially like in this echo command, it's thinking that this quote, if you just put a quote here, it's thinking that that is the end quote for this guy, and so you're going to get an error. It's not going to work right. So you have to use an escape character, right, when you're programming. I assume all of you know what escape characters are. So backslash quote is what you're going to use to put the quotes in the command in. So I'm using backslash quote refresh, backslash quote, so that basically puts refresh in quotes, okay. Then content 0, okay, again, backslash quote, and then semicolon URL, and then I'm just sending you back to the main index, which is just the 8,000, and then backslash quote to end that quote. And then that's it, and then end the, end the HTML command, and then end quote for the echo command. And then you close your body, close your HTML, and you're done. That's all you got to do. So that's all it really does. It fires off this command, then comes down, and basically the web page that it creates that you're going to code, that it's basically your previous code's navigating to, will then call this meta HTTP equivalent refresh, and it calls the meta header, and it'll just send you back. It'll just send you right back using this URL. It'll send you right back to where you started. And that's it. That's all you got to do. It's real simple, guys. So anyway, that's basically how you create your own custom buttons. So let me go back. Back to the index. So that's basically all you got to do. So remember, as a review here, you need to add a unique identifier to your images. Okay, just edit the HTML and just put it in there. Add a unique identifier, and then add an on-click event to it as well, and call your event handler basically. So mine, I just named my function click handler, and then make sure and pass it basically the object ID essentially is what this is, or the object handle, I guess you could say, for the image. Make sure and use, and it literally is called this. Like, I didn't define this variable. It's literally just THIS, and the HTML knows what to do with it. So just call that, send that to it. Do that for your 3, 5, 10, however many buttons you have. Do that. Set up your Webiopi stuff like you normally do, and then down here you're just going to be calling the element by its ID, or if in my handler, since we actually pass the element to it using the element parameter, then you just call your element.source or element.baseURI, or however you want to do it. And for CGI, you do this window.location.href to navigate to the actual CGI script. Make sure that CGI script is in that user lib/CGI-bin folder. Make sure it's there. Make sure it's executable. Yeah, it's basically all there is to it, guys. That's in a nutshell how you create your own custom buttons. I know a lot of you have been asking me, how do I, the Webiopi buttons are cool using the CSS and the sample code, and you can create more or less buttons using their method, but how would you create them, like with specific images and things like that? There you go, guys. That's how you do it. Like I said, you can download this code, check out the project code link, look at the Christmas video code. I'm not going to probably post this code because I've already posted it. It's the Christmas special. So if you look up the Christmas special, it'll have all the scripts, all the source for all the scripts and everything. It'll also have the HTML files, the image files. It has everything you need. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed it. Hope this video didn't get way too long. I think it went pretty long though. But anyway, hopefully you stuck in there. Take care, like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. There'll be more videos coming up. Like I said, we got to do the Bluetooth. We got to show you how to Bluetooth stuff, set up the Intel Edison. All that fun stuff is on the horizon. So guys, thank you for joining me. I'm out of water, and I think I'm out of time, definitely. So guys, keep coding, keep building, because that's what it's all about, is the fun of electronics. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time. And with that, that ought to do it. Catch you next time.